He's joined the 1,000-point club and could clearly take over this game here tonight at Conti Forum. John Gwynn, as usual, a lot of production off the bench, 14 a game, averaging just under 24 minutes a game. So he's instant offense dynamite off the bench once again for Jim Calhoun.
But the past 2 weeks, the top Husky has been the Toronto Blue Jay farmhand, Scott Burrell.
Well, he's a great athlete. He's stealing the basketball. He's averaging about 4 steals a game. He's 4th in the country in that category. Jim Calhoun really stresses the defense, makes things happen out there, averaging 16 a game over the last 5 games, really coming into his own, getting his basketball field together.
The Eagles off to a good start at 8-3. A lot of youth, 4 freshmen, 2 of them in the backcourt, and they've played well.
Well, the question mark coming into this year for BC was strong recruiting class. How will the freshmen step in and play? And the answer is very well. They're surprising a lot of people. Abram can really shoot the ball from the perimeter, had a 30-point game against Maryland earlier this year in a big BC win, and Howard Isley has really stepped into the point guard slot and is playing excellent, sound basketball. He's turning the ball over under 3 times a game. A lot of maturity for a freshman. This tandem playing great basketball.
The Eagles' big threat down low, the freshman from nearby Duxbury, Billy Curley.
Well, perhaps the most heralded recruit ever to attend the Heights here at Boston College, and Billy's off to an outstanding start, averaging in double figures, coming off the flu bug, although he did have his finest collegiate performance in BC's last game, a close loss to UMass, where he had 21 points. I figure he's got to play well in this game, inside, rebound, stay out of foul trouble, and help out the BC guards against UConn's pressure.
Now, as far as the keys to victory for UConn, they want to make things tough for those freshman guards.
Well, that's right. UConn predicates everything off of the pressure. They'll try to get BC's backcourt down the alleys. That's the sidelines and trap as they get over midcourt. BC's got to pass the ball effectively, try to get it to the middle and avoid those sidelines. Also for UConn, control the glass and get the ball to Chris Smith. He could take over this game if he gets his shot going.
Now, conversely, Boston College has to break that pressure to be in it.
That's right. They've got to pass the ball, get rid of it before the trap gets to them, and try to stay out of those sidelines. And UConn will stay with the press, full court. BC's got to work for the high percentage shots. UConn only allowing people under 40% shooting so far this year. BC's got to come out of the gates quickly in this one. And for BC, a home game here against UConn. Try to involve the crowd with some good shooting and hustling, enthusiastic play.
It's the Huskies and the Eagles. We'll be back with the opening lineups, the starting lineups for tonight's game, right after these messages. To the Conti Forum, let's meet the starting lineups for tonight's game, and to introduce them, here's the PA announcer.
Good evening,
here's Bill Gerson.
Gentlemen, and welcome to Conti Forum for tonight's Big East basketball game between the Huskies of the University of Connecticut and the Eagles of Boston College. Now let's meet tonight's starting lineup. For Connecticut, number 24, 6'7" sophomore forward from Hamden, Connecticut, Scott Burrell. For the Eagles, at forward is number 35, 6'5" senior, Baltimore, Maryland, Doug Abel. For the Huskies, at forward is number 20, 6'6" senior, Torrington, Connecticut, Murray Williams. For the Eagles, at forward is number 22, 6'7" junior from Miami, Florida, Corey Jackson. For UConn at center, number 22, 6'9" junior from Florence, South Carolina, Rod Sellers. For the Eagles at center, number 15, 6'10" freshman from Duxbury, Massachusetts, Billy Curley. For UConn, number 21, 6'4" guard from Bristol, Connecticut, Steve Pikel. For the Eagles at guard, number 10, 6'2" freshman from Detroit, Michigan, Howard Isley. For the Huskies at guard is number 13, 6'2" junior from Bridgeport, Connecticut, Chris Smith. And for the Eagles at guard, number 23, 6' freshman from River Rouge, Michigan, Gerard Abra.
Hey, get a look at UConn coach Jim Calhoun, last year's Big East Coach of the Year, and his counterpart also in his 5th year at BC, Jimmy O'Brien, one-time assistant coach at Connecticut under Dom Perno. We'll be back to tap this one off from the Conti Forum after these messages from your local stations.
have come off to a very successful start so far. The Huskies with just one loss. The Eagles with 3 all road losses. Thing that jumps out at me, very competitive stats, is the Huskies have struggled from the foul line so far this year. The Eagles a better rebound advantage. I think the Huskies have to board well to win this game.
And as far as the matchups, first time this season that Abel and Curley have started together. Abel got 2 starts over the weekend in Springfield while Curley was sick.
Well, I think that Jim O'Brien perhaps wanted to get Doug Abel into the lineup because of the very athletic Scott Burrell, the way he's been playing.
Huskies going from right to left, and here's Peichel right away. There's Curley off the glass. Eagles will try to run it. UConn has won 5 straight against BC. That's Howard Isley, freshman out of Detroit, as UConn plays man.
Connecticut will employ a lot of different defenses, but one thing will be consistent with all of them. They'll be aggressive and they'll look to trap. 23 is Abram, guarded by Peichel. 22, Corey Jackson. And Murray Williams has him. This is Isley, picked up by Chris Smith. Shot clock down to 15. Huskies with the man-to-man, which they'll try to play at least early on. Here's Abel. Oh! Murray Williams goes strong to the glass. BC had problems rebounding in the loss to UMass on Saturday. And the pass deflected away by Corey Jackson, so UConn will maintain possession. Well, BC also opened up that time for Jim O'Brien in the man-to-man set. Connecticut tried the entry pass from up top. You really need the better angle from the wing to get that ball down low with a bounce pass.
Williams gets it out to Peichel. Huskies have had a rotating point guard system between Peichel and Gilad Katz, the junior from Israel. As BC goes man. We played a minute with no score. This UConn's first or second possession. Here's Smith, strong to the hole. Huskies have gotten inside twice, and Bob Donato calls Murray Williams for the over-the-back. Our officials tonight, Jim Burr, Bob Donato, and Sean Corbin.
Well, here's Chris Smith. He really splits the BC guard tandem with a beautiful penetrating move, but he's unable to get it off the glass. The English takes it away, and Murray Williams over the back.
Back live. Jackson helping to break the pressure. Curley had Abel underneath. There's another steal by Burrell. His 41st of the season. Huskies 0 for 3 on layups, and Curley once again steals. 42 steals for Burrell. Nice work for the hoop. A little bit too strong. Huskies are getting all layups. That's what you want.
There's a lid on the basket early for Connecticut. Some great scoring opportunities. Won't go down.
Back at the other end, Gerard Abram with a quick step, and Steve Peichel gets called for his first foul. Abram lightning quick.
Well, we talked about Jim Calhoun's team opening up with the pressure, and they're doing just that, getting some steals, but unable to cash in so far.
We've played a minute 40, and there's been no score. So UConn has been able to get inside and unable to convert. As the Huskies go 2-3 matchup.
Well, they'll try to force the outside shot. I really believe BC's got to hit a couple of jump shots to get their confidence together.
Like that. Doug Abel, the Eagles' leading scorer, hits the first hoop of the ball game.
There's BC after the made field goal, now going with the man-to-man pressure.
Huskies would like to get the ball to Sellers inside. Almost knocked away by Isley. Huskies have had their problems offensively in the set offense from time to time this season.
They prefer to get the steal and go down and penetrate and score. They've got to operate now out of the set.
Smith's pull-up couldn't go. Sellers strong underneath. And Rod Sellers ties it at 2.
Oh, good long pass by BC, though.
Gerard Abram getting behind the defense, and that's the guard's fault. They got to get back.
Yeah, good job by BC to get the ball in very quickly, and a good job by Connecticut to bang the offensive boards.
Peichel gets the step, but he's cut off. Burrell, MVP in the Connecticut Mutual over the weekend. Scott Burrell getting much more confident at the offensive end.
Well, there was no hesitation with that bank shot.
Tied at 4. Abram looking for 3, hits Zippo. That one may have been a little too quick. Huskies looking to run. Murray Williams didn't know whether he wanted to pass to Smith or go up on his own. He ends up turning it over, and there we see the mini microwave. John Gwynn, 5'11" senior out of Hillcrest Heights, Maryland, replacing Steve Peichel. Not a surprising substitution for anyone who's watched UConn this year.
John Gwynn won't start, but he'll finish most games for Connecticut, averaging about 25 minutes a game. And he's ready to load the gun, as I call it, when he comes in, ready to shoot it if he's open.
You always had that gun cocked, as I remember.
Just a couple of times.
Jackson can't get it to go. Abel strong off the glass, and Doug Abel has 4, and BC has a 2-point lead.
Well, that's what Doug Abel has to do, too. One of the few veterans on this BC team showing his leadership early.
Smith double-teamed in the corner. Burrell for 3. Abel gets the loose ball, and here comes Isley. Had Abram ahead of the field. Nice dish. Rejected by Sellers, leading the Huskies in blocks this season. UConn looking for the numbers. Sellers with the force, and Billy Curley doing yeoman duty on the boards. Isley with outstanding quickness. And Abram took an extra step.
Both teams are tentative, perhaps a little bit too ready early in this game, trying to make it happen quickly, and as a result, we're seeing quite a few turnovers.
All right, we'll go to a break. BC leading 6-4. We'll be right back after these messages. Produced by Authority, inbounded from underneath the Connecticut basket. This is Corey Jackson, MVP of the BC Classic earlier this season. The first in-season tournament win for the Eagles since the '84 Cabrillo Classic. Ron, I know you're familiar with that one.
Well, a much improved Corey Jackson this year, contributing to the BC cause in a big way.
Isley's 3 wouldn't go, and the Huskies quickly looking to run. Gwynn, pull-up pop. John Gwynn averaging 14 points a ball game, and we're tied at 6.
That's what John does best. He comes off the bench, get that quick open step, and he can really pop it from the outside.
Gwynn guarding Isley. That'll be a matchup BC might try to take advantage of. I say last touched by Corey Jackson, so on the turnover, UConn will look to take its first lead of the ball game. As you get a look at Jimmy O'Brien in his 5th year here at Chestnut Hill, the 4th turnover of the ball game, Ron, for the Eagles.
Well, Jimmy will have to live with some of that this year. He's got some young players handling the ball almost exclusively. They do show a lot of poise, though.
Smith got the snap, and Sellers gets the tip. Second bucket for the junior from Florence, South Carolina. The Huskies get their first lead at 8-6.
Out of that 2-3 zone, BC has to do a better job of boxing out Connecticut, really banging the offensive glass.
31 in the ball game during that last timeout. Corey Beasley replacing Doug Abel. This is Beasley on Sellers. Nice work on the glass by Beasley. Corey Beasley showing some good hesitation and patience, and we're tied at 8.
That was a good aggressive second effort by Beasley. Connecticut did not box Beasley out that time.
Should be an interesting game off the glass because both teams from time to time have had troubles in that area. Burrell clobbered on the way up as Corey Jackson with the hack. And UConn will go to the bench once again. Torino Walker, who just became eligible in time for the Connecticut Mutual Classic, played well against Lafayette, maybe not as well against URI, and he'll replace Murray Williams. Gives UConn a lot bigger look out front.
He's quick, he's a good athlete, really fits well into the Connecticut system of pressure defense, and all he really will need now, looks to be in pretty good shape, is to get game minutes under his belt.
You see Burrell, a 52% free throw shooter. The Huskies as a team do not do it from the line, only 54%. And Jim Calhoun has said he's gotten a lot of letters from fans in the Nutmeg State giving him advice because he says everybody can shoot free throws. Not everybody can dunk, not everybody can take a jump shot with a defender in their face, but all the fans think they can shoot free throws, and he's been getting a lot of help in that area.
Well, and Jim's comment is it's not from lack of practice, but it is different when you get out there on game night. You've been going at 100%, you have to stop yourself. Get yourself into a routine from the line. Make sure you're lined up properly and do what Burrell did there. Dropped him right through the net. Connecticut stays with the pressure.
Huskies with the pressure. Eagles have just 5 seconds to beat it. I'm not sure Jackson realizes that.
Gotta be close.
They're not going to get it across. They didn't, but the referees did not see it. Here's Isley from downtown. Eagles haven't been able to hit. There's another offensive rebound, though. Gerard Abram.
Great job by Abram to keep him alive.
Good penetration, but once again, the Eagles turn it over. Boston College, though, doing the job on the glass. That's got to make Jim O'Brien happy.
Not happy with the results, though. BC with some open shot opportunities if they're trying to take the next step, and that's where they're hesitating and traveling.
Huskies with the 2-point cushion. Chris Smith still looking for his first bucket of the night. Isley thought he got all ball, but Bob Donato says the freshman out of Motown caught him from behind. First foul on Isley, second on the team. Let's get a look at this one, Ron.
Isley from behind. It's a good quick help out there by Abram. The strip, a little bit too much arm on the play. Isley played for Southwestern High in the Motor City last year. They were 27-0, ranked number 2 in the country.
Not a bad year.
Martin Luther King High School in Chicago had the number 1 ranking in the country. Those teams don't play off, but it is fun to see how they do stack up against each other. And clearly a guy like Isley coming from a program like that, Joe, well, he really does show the maturity to be able to step in and play under these conditions.
Isley getting a rest, Malcolm Huckabee. 6'3" freshman from Bristol Central. Very familiar to our viewers in the Nutmeg State in the ball game. Also number 30, Bobby Moran, 6'3" senior out of the Queens. Well, Huskies 4 for 4 from the foul line in their first 4-point lead as they apply the pressure.
Jim O'Brien doing a nice job of blending Moran with Huckabee in the backcourt and Abram, the youth and experience out there.
Moran faked the 3 and threw an air ball on the 2. There's Walker. Good dribbler for a big man.
Oh, nice catch by Quinn.
Quinn penetration to Sellers. Rod Sellers has 6, and the Huskies lead by 6. Here's the quick out again. But Smith back in a hurry. Good patience, though. And Walker knocks it out of bounds. Huskies very active now on the defensive end.
Well, that's the thing with UConn. They'll press full court, but they don't let up once they get into the half-court set. That was kind of a lazy chest pass down low. You've got to alley-oop that one and use the bounce.
Coming into your screen, number 55, Dan Cerulik. 6, or actually they're calling him 7 1/2. 257 from Williamsville North High School in upstate New York. Alley-oop, and it works. Corey Beasley going way up for his second field goal.
That play's been working since the invention of basketball, the drop-in pass, and somehow the big men forget to look for that quick pass. Nice fake by Cerulik.
Left Billy hit, or rather left Billy Curley on the floor, and that's a shot Dan Cerulik can hit. He's the Huskies' percentage leader from the floor, 57%. This is Malcolm Huckabee over to Bobby Moran. Kept his dribble, that's why it was not a walk. But that is over and back.
Great defensive pressure by Connecticut, and Scott Burrell was just all over Bobby Moran that time.
Steve Peichel back in for the Huskies. Get a look at that defensive pressure.
Moran just lost the handle, but he kept going the wrong way, away from the goal. You need to body up in that case against your man and not give up any more ground. In that case, loses it, and the turnover occurs.
Almost looked like hockey as they try to go back at his own end to start up.
Can't flip it back there, though, in basketball. Not if it's not deflected anyhow.
There's Walker trying to take Abel inside, dug back in the ball game. Burrell couldn't go glass. Michael goes to the ground, but Abel rips it away. Moran leads the break, but once again, the Huskies are back. Huckabee likes the 3. Nice rebound. Abel. Oh, Doug Abel with a highlight film rebound.
Somehow reached way back with the right arm. Beasley and Abel doing a good job inside. The backcourt, one of the keys for BC in this game, we feel, is to shoot it well. Unable to find the range so far.
Smith trying to go on Huckabee. 16-12, Connecticut. Their Big East opener. Oh, a nice spinning move by Walker, but he did the fadeaway instead of going strong to the hoop. Here comes Huckabee running the offense. Part of that young backcourt of the Eagles. Bobby Moran, the only senior. Huskies going man. Moran against Peichel. Peichel, of course, a graduate student. Looks like Cerulik almost got a hand on that Corey Beasley shot, but Beasley now with 6. It's a 2-point Connecticut lead. Just under 11 minutes to go, first half. Huskies' first conference game of the season. BC beat Providence by 2 in the first league game back in early December. On the inside, they've got Bobby Moran. That's not a good matchup for BC. Moran against Burrell.
And Burrell was trying to take advantage with the post-up position. Bobby Moran is very strong for a 6'3" backcourt man, but just bodied up too much that time.
10:40 to go. Connecticut with a 16-14 lead. We'll be right back after these words from our local stations.
Ladies and gentlemen, Boston College.
He's leading by 2, but Ron, they've been unable to control the defensive glass.
Well, both teams have had their way going to the offensive boards. This time, Connecticut Out of the zone set inside, does not pick up Abel. What a great athletic move to reach back and tip that ball home.
The elastic man impersonation. I think that pass was intended for Peichel, but Cerulik with the intercept. Smith's three couldn't go. And it's another rebound for Corey Beasley.
And it's interesting to see BC leading on the board so far in this game. We think that's a key factor in whoever pulls out the win.
Moran able to go baseline, and all Burrell could do was foul him from behind. Not a foul on Burrell, but really Bobby Moran was able to get around Chris Smith. As you get a look at Jim Calhoun looking for help from the bench in the form of Rod Sellers.
He's never happy when he sees the baseline given up that way. Defensively, you want your player to get a foot on the baseline. That time, BC with the quick passing, and they got the penetration.
Drano Walker talking to assistant coach Glenn Miller. As Bobby Moran will step to the line. 6'3" senior, averaging 6.5 points per ball game. 57% free throw shooter. Eagles don't exactly stroke it at great numbers from the line either.
I mean, a good foul shooting team gets their free throws up around 70%. Anything above that is a bonus. See a free throw shooting team up in the mid-70s. They're really knocking it down as a team.
Tied at 16 as Peichel broke the pressure. Chris Smith still looking for his first field goal of the ball game as BC now goes zone. Smith able to get inside, and Cerulik went over the top. One thing the Eagles are doing down low, Ron, is they're getting good position as far as boxing out is concerned.
Now they are, and right now they're starting to say to UConn, go ahead and take that outside jump shot. We're going to try to clog things up in low. It's a good penetration by Smith, but he leaves his feet and takes a tough shot. And then that's a real over-the-back job by Big Dan Cerulik.
John Gwynn, as you can see, putting the pressure on Isley back in, almost homing.
Whoa.
Gwynn forces the steal that time as Isley gets back up slowly. And Gwynn kisses it off the glass. Johnny Gwynn now with 4. Burrell trying to convince Jim Burr of the turnover right in front of us, and Jim O'Brien knows that his team is not handling the press well.
Well, that's right. He's saying, hey, a little bit too much dribbling right there, Howard. Let's move the ball. We talked about passing it, Joe, getting it to the middle, and that last turnover, Isley drove it right down the alley, as Jim Calhoun calls it, right into the trap over midcourt, right where you don't want to go.
Obi said all of that? Didn't look like he was saying that much.
All he said was just don't pound it on the floor. Let's get it up there, guys, and get high percentage shots.
Beasley tries to go on Cerulik, gets baseline, and with the pretty left hand, oh, nice move by Corey Beasley. He leads all scorers with 8, and we're tied at 18.
Beasley is coming up big in this game off the bench.
Season high is 11, and he's well on the way to breaking that.
BC showing UConn a little pressure itself, trying to slow UConn, bringing it up court.
Oh, Gwynn did a nice job of getting Isley up in the air, and Jim Calhoun wants it on the shot, but Jim Burr would not be deceived. Foul on Isley is his second. Get a look from down low.
It's really an experienced play by Gwynn. He's the jump shooter. There it is. Gets Isley up off his feet as soon as he feels contact. Tries to go up with the shot, but Jimmy Burr with the call on the floor.
Murray Williams back in for the Huskies, as well as number 23, Lyman DePriest, celebrating birthday number 22 today.
Well, Lyman will be out there mixing it up on the boards, playing the D. Wants to grind it out.
Williams in the corner. Huskies go with 21 Peichel, 20 Williams, 22 Sellers, 15 Gwynn, and 23 DePriest. Gwynn sort of looked like a force. That's one of those where you say, no, no, nice shot.
Well, it's BC with the zone again. They're inviting the jump shot, and Gwynn's the man to take it.
Yeah, that's what most teams have tried to do against Connecticut this season, and certainly BC is quick as the Huskies. Here's Abel. Murray Williams actually forced that turnover that bounced off Abel's shoe. Gwynn 3 for 3 thus far, but instead he goes low to Sellers. Sellers forces it up, and Abel once again gets the boards.
An aggressive rebound.
There's Huckabee against Peichel, a couple of kids out of Bristol, Connecticut, and Malcolm Huckabee, averaging 5 points per game, hits his first bucket. We're tied at 20.
The thing I like about Huckabee, Isley, Abram, the freshman trio of guards for BC, not afraid to mix it up out there, play with a lot of poise.
Peichel forces it against Huckabee. This looks like the Bristol playgrounds. Peichel played at St. Paul's. Huckabee played at Bristol Central. First foul on Huckabee, and that is number 5 on the Eagles. So Steve Peichel, graduate student, will step to the line to shoot a couple. You see Peichel averaging just 3 points a game, but a 92% free throw shooter, and the Huskies 4 for 4 from the line, making 5 for 5.
Jimmy O'Brien, 71 graduate of Boston College, in the Hall of Fame at BC. Played in the ABA for the Pittsburgh Condors.
And the Conquistadors. The San Diego Conquistadors, one of my favorite teams as a child growing up.
I love that red, white, and blue basketball. Remember the Dr. J? Think of the ABA. Anyways, I think of the doctor.
So Smith back in. I was trying to think of some obscure ABA player who I remember it, none came to mind.
I remember a great three-point shooter when they had the three, Louis Dempierre.
Oh, that's right. A lot of people say you played like him, never passed. Here's Abel off glass. So Doug Abel now has 8. And we're once again tied at 22. It's been a good first half here in Chestnut Hill with 7:45 to play. Good defensive pressure on the ball. Nice look by DePriest. Gwynn tried to force the foul, and Sellers knocks it out of bounds.
Well, it's a half-court battle right now, and Jimmy O'Brien's troop playing some pretty aggressive defense themselves.
7:34 to go. Huskies and Eagles are tied at 22. We'll be back after these messages. They're getting way up for a little guy.
Going in and sending it down.
22-22, 7:34 left, as the Huskies will apply some 1-3-1 half-court pressure.
Again, it's pass the ball before the trap develops. Nice job by BC so far.
You see BC 10 of 20. Beasley and Abel 8 of 11. Billy Curley back in, and Lyman DePriest, birthday boy of 22, makes the steal. Gwynn couldn't get it to go maybe a little quicker than Jim Calhoun would have liked. Huskies didn't have the numbers underneath.
Abel is really coming up big in this game for BC.
Huckabee's pass deflected, but good work by Moran and Abel to be able to maintain possession.
This is where BC really needs some leadership on the floor. Isley to get the ball, take control. Smith denying him, though.
Isley hit by Smith on the way up. And for Chris Smith, this is starting to look a little bit like his performance against Lafayette. After that game, Jim Calhoun had about a 20-minute talk with him. Smith hasn't been able to hit from the floor, 0 for 5. And they're a little bit slow on the defensive step for his first foul.
Well, the thing about Chris Smith, though, is he hasn't come untracked in this game yet, but I've seen nights where he goes quiet for even a half, and then he can come out in the second half and knock down 20 points.
Howard Isley, the 10th leading free throw shooter in the Big East. Averaging 78%. Leads the Eagles in minutes played and steals. And he puts Boston College up by 1 with 6:50 to go.
Really feels so far this year. Isley been the glue, getting the ball at the point, not turning it over. Billy Curley, great play inside. BC with some pressure.
A couple of former Connecticut high school stars, Smith and Huckabee.
BC in the 1-3-1 zone right now, too, with Abel pressuring on the wing.
Smith for 3, way off. DePriest gets it off to Gwynn. Maybe not the best pass. And the Huskies knock it out of bounds. Lyman DePriest at 6'5" may have been better off to go up for the ball rather than give it to John Gwynn in the Valley of the Giants.
That's right. Give it to the backcourt man if he's wide open for the unmolested layup, but not in traffic. What you need against this 1-3-1 pressure is the cross-court skip pass, like that one.
Moran, nobody's been able to hit for downtown, but Moran able to follow it in and then drills it to Curley. We were mentioning during the break that maybe Billy Curley hasn't quite gotten over the flu that made him come off the bench in the Hall of Fame Classic, and he just doesn't look like himself so far.
Well, that takes a lot out of you when you get the flu. He came off the bench in both of those games, and he does look winded in the early going, although Abel and Beasley playing well.
Sellers with a strong move off the nice dish. 8 points for Rod Sellers. And the Huskies have tied it at 24. UConn with that half-court trap, trying to get it along the alleys, and there it is. Jump ball, and on the alternate possession, it will belong to BC. But that's what you mentioned, Ron. Don't get trapped along the sidelines. That's where trouble comes in, and that's what Jim O'Brien's trying to impart to his troops.
Well, this is a different look by Connecticut. It's a 1-3-1, and normally he'll attack that with a 2-1-2 to offset it. And you need crisp cross-court passes against this kind of pressure.
Rod Sellers Grabs the Huckabee miss. Here's the Priest. Looking down low for Burrell back in the ball game. Went against Abel. John Gwynn now 4 for 5. So Gwynn and Sellers have 8 apiece, and the Huskies back on top with 5:22 to go. Gwynn with the Stanislavski trying to get the charge. Curley goes strong. Tell you what, Ron, did not look winded on that one.
No, he didn't. He had a great surge to the basket as BC attacked successfully the pressure. They need to do more of that.
First hoop, bad pass by DePriest as he throws it away.
See the difference that time by BC. They got it to the wing. Crisp pass back to the foul line and pass before the trap could get there. Jim Calhoun always mixing up the defenses.
Gerard Abram and Corey Jackson back in for BC. They'll team with Curley, Abel, and Isley.
BC already with 10 turnovers in the first half. UConn unable to cash with consistency, though.
Isley with his 12th three-point bomb of the season, and BC converts to a 3-point lead. Nice quickness by Curley, but Burrell able to convert. Boy, Scott Burrell just doing so many things well offensively. He now has 6. Eagles might have gotten a rough break that time. Looked like Jackson might have been hit on the way up, and Jimmy O'Brien certainly thinks so. Bad pass by Burrell, and Billy Curley doesn't agree with the call. Didn't look like Sellers had a chance to get that one, Ron.
No, it didn't. That ball was thrown well to the side of Sellers. We're only going to see the end of it, and it's Curley who really does a job catching it. Slight push off with the right arm.
6th team foul as you get a look at Billy Curley, of course, had that stress fracture last year, limited his senior season. Number 10, Galad Katz, in for the first time, as Burrell casts off from the corner. He now has 8. Once again, the Eagles off the quick ball. From way back to block it.
Athleticism there.
Here's Katz. That one has the crowd of about 6,500 oohing and eyeing. Patience by Walker. Smith just didn't have his rhythm on that shot. Here's Jackson. He's had the hot first half. Curley can hit that shot, just didn't get the roll. And Burrell's pass gets away from Katz, and Jim Calhoun wants to know why. It's been a back and forth first half. UConn holding on to a 30-29 lead over Boston College. More from Chestnut Hill after these messages. The first 16.5 minutes, Ron.
Well, that's right. Both teams in the flow. They'll go for it when the opportunity's there. Freshman Billy Curley with the great feed inside, sending it down with the jam, and what looked to be an easy basket for BC. Look at Burrell. He's got the look right now. He'll go up with beautiful timing and set up the fast break with a great rejection for Connecticut.
Back live. This is Gerard Abram off to his freshman backcourt buddy Howard Isley. To the other freshman, Billy Curley. Also the Coreys in the game, Jackson and Beasley. This is Corey Beasley inside. Nice turnaround on Walker. The 6th lead change, and that is 10 for the senior from Southern High in Baltimore. Cats almost losing control of the dribble, but they say Gerard Abram reached in for his first foul of the half, and that will send UConn to the line to shoot 1-and-1.
BC, a much quicker team this year. They've done a nice job in this half for the most part to avoid a lot of UConn penetration.
Huskies 6 for 6 from the foul line. As you look at Katz, 6'3" junior out of Tel Aviv, played on the Israeli national team. Huskies 7 for 7. In fact, UConn's women's team this year, as you look at Jimmy O'Brien, with a star from Israel, Orly Grossman, and the UConn women playing the Boston College women in their Big East opener tonight at Gamble in Stores. You can see the Huskies wearing a flag patch on the left side of the uniforms in honor of the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces who are currently in the Middle East. Huskies by a point, 3 minutes to go, continuing that man-to-man pressure. Abram against Smith.
Oh, dangerous pass.
Good
there.
anticipation by Burrell, and Jackson was lucky to get a mid on it. That's a good matchup, Jackson and Burrell.
Look at this man-to-man defense by the Huskies.
Jim Calhoun at the top wanting the push out. Here's Curley against Sellers. Burrell got the ball, and Smith got the steal.
Great defense by the Huskies.
Smith tripped up by Abram. Second foul on Gerard. And Chris Smith slowly picking himself off the floor at the Conti Forum.
You just can't stand around against this Connecticut man-to-man pressure. BC finally gets it down low, and Curley is just swarmed, sandwiched between Sellers and Burrell, and Connecticut off to the races. Against that kind of pressure, you need patience. Hope within the 45-second time frame that there's some kind of a lapse. Look for your seam to penetrate. Try to get some kind of an opening. Great defense.
Jim Calhoun, who missed the Fairfield game, was hospitalized in Farmington at the UConn Medical Center.
His first game miss in 19 years of coaching.
Howie Dickerman ran the show. The Huskies beat the Stags. It's UConn's first miss at the foul line. So Connecticut leads it by 2 with 2.5 to go.
That's good penetration. There's the opening.
3 can't go. Curley goes over Walker to get the tip. BC doing a very nice job off the offensive glass. Be interested to see those statistics. Isley hasn't had a notion. Instead got it to Abram. Trying to trap him in those alleys. Very quick. Nice dish. Oh, the Huskies get there quickly. Walker and Burrell, and we'll have to see who Sean Corbin has the foul on.
Beasley has come to play tonight. Big production off the bench in the first half, and that's the kind of half-court passing that BC has to have against the Connecticut pressure. Isley drawing a crowd. That's just a beautiful pass by Jackson. Pinned there by Torino Walker. Corey Beasley has been very active on the offensive end tonight.
See Beasley has that bandage, that rather large bandage, over his left eye. He was injured in a practice, and Beasley has now tied his season high with 11 points. It's 33-32 UConn. 2:09 to go in the first half.
Corey broke his nose prior to the Duke game earlier this year, and BC was playing in the preseason NIT.
Hasn't been a fun year for Corey, but he's enjoying tonight. The season high 12 points.
That's for sure.
Here's Katz running the offense. Walker and Katz. A little game of catch. Katz for 3. Gets the roll for Galad Katz, his 4th three-pointer of the season. And UConn leads it by a tray. Scott Burrell draws the charge. That's just the athletic ability as he gets foul number 2 on Corey Jackson.
Well, this is just quickness here.
I don't know.
I don't know.
He's sort of a lean in.
I would have gone more with a block there. Wasn't able to get his body in front of Corey Jackson on that play. It's okay to have some movement as long as you've established some kind of position in front of the man. Unable to do so.
Bobby Moran in as Katz almost turns it over. Boy, the defense on the perimeter has been just ferocious both ways.
Neither team is leaving anything on the floor of the defensive end.
Katz turns it over. So BC will bring it back down the other way with 1:21 to go. Jim Calhoun. And you see BC, as we mentioned, doing the job on the offensive glass, 8-5.
Well, BC's effectiveness in this first half has really come, more down low with Abel and Beasley connecting inside and banging the backboards with those two.
Burrell out quickly, so Abram couldn't cast off from downtown as the Huskies playing a 2-3 zone.
Oh, well, we've seen the 1-3-1, we've seen man, now the 2-3. All active and aggressive, though.
As they disguise the defense there, and Curley turned it over. Let's see if it hit off Katz's knee. Nope. Abram thinks it did as he gives a look to Bob Donato.
Be disappointed in him if he didn't at least say, hey, that went out off Connecticut.
Doug Abel, who started off red hot, comes in replacing Beasley, and John Gwynn replaces Galad Katz for the Huskies. 54.1 to go here in the first half. By next year, all the clocks in the NCAA are going to have to be like the NBA, going to that 10th of a second.
It's so unusual to see that late in the game when you see 2.3 seconds left. It can make a big difference.
Huskies like to get it to Walker up high and to have him run the offense. Here's the spin. Well, UConn able to get the ball into Sellers. He now has 10, and the Huskies with their biggest lead at 5.
Rod likes to go to that move, the drop step.
And the right-hand move.
Comes back to the right.
Abram and Isley on the perimeter. Burrell with the 5-inch height advantage on Abram.
Now, he's got the quickness, though, to play just about anybody, small men or big men. BC needs one here. Some good patience, working around. Tough shot.
Abram got the step, might have gotten pushed, and BC will get the ball with 2.7 seconds to go.
Abel thought that he heard or was going to get a whistle on the bump there, but never did. Here's Torino Walker bodying up.
I don't know if he pushed him.
I think it's a good no call.
Yeah, looked a little bit off balance.
Abel tried to sell it. BC's got to get the quick one.
Back live. Here's Isley. Can't get it to go. So both teams will go to the locker room, and Jim Calhoun has to like what he sees as a result of the first 20 minutes, with UConn leading 38-33. We'll be back with our halftime activities after these words from our local stations. Sits UConn with a 38-33 lead over Boston College. Ron, one thing Jim Calhoun thought he'd be able to do in the first half would be get the ball down low to Rod Sellers. And when Sellers has been in there, they've been successful doing just that.
Oh, that's right. Neither team has shot the ball extremely well from the perimeter. John Gwynn did shoot it well for Connecticut. But when Connecticut has been able to work the ball around, BC with some pressure defense in the first half, they've been successful. And Rod Sellers has been the main man inside along with Scott Burrell.
One of the keys to the ball game early on, we said, would be turnovers, and you can see Boston College turned it over 13 times thus far. UConn hasn't been able to convert all those turnovers, but they've been able to convert enough.
Oh, that's right. If Connecticut was able to get the ball to go down early for themselves, they'd have a bigger lead in this first half, but they have consistently applied the defensive pressure, which they always do. And near turnover there by Isley, dribbles into the trap, off balance. How about Cerulik with the anticipation? And this is where you have to cash in and make the team that commits the turnover pay the price, as John Gwynn does on that banker.
Nice kiss off the glass by John Gwynn. Boston College has done a very good job off the glass, especially on the offensive boards.
This is really a surprise stat to me in the first half, but Abel and Beasley and Curley have gone hard to the boards. They've done a good job at both ends. But again, they haven't had a lot of opportunities to get offensive rebounds where they've gone back up and scored. Most of the rebounding has been defensive rebounding, but not on this one. Beasley, who had an outstanding first half for BC, able to convert with a super second effort.
All right, we'll let you be a coach here because I know that's been a goal of yours. UConn, you see, shooting 41% on the season. They shoot 49, and BC at 40.6. They're a 45% shooting team on the season. Free throws, very uncharacteristic for Connecticut, 9 of 10. BC's been perfect in 6 out of 6. Haven't had much success from long distance in this game. 1 of 5 for the Huskies. They shoot 33 for the year. BC is a 38% shooting team from downtown. Scoring, UConn getting it done without Chris Smith. Sellers with 10. You see Burrell and Gwynn 8 apiece. Gilad Katz had 1 3-pointer. UConn's only 1. And all of Chris Smith's points have come at the foul line.
Well, he could be the difference if he can erupt in the second half. And Beasley with a huge half off the bench in the first half. They've done most of the damage inside with 20 inside points. Abel and Beasley, Isley contributing, but if Abram can get the outside shot going and Huckabee and they get Curley more involved, still suffering from the flu, we should have ourselves a very tight second half.
38-33, Connecticut on top of BC as we get ready for the second half here. As you take a look at Jimmy O'Brien, 57-73 in his 5th season at the Heights. Of course, he spent 4 years before that at St. Bonaventures, and he's 124 lifetime. And then you get a look at Jim Calhoun in between Howie Dickman on the left and David Lato, former star at Northeastern for Calhoun on the right. Calhoun 86-53 in stores, much of that 31-6 last season.
Well, that was just an outstanding dream type season for the Connecticut Huskies last year.
Get a look at some of the crowd. Now, when UConn played here on March 3rd, it was almost a situation like we had in Foxborough on Sunday with a lot of Giants fans. There were a lot of UConn fans here last year, and there's quite a few here this year as you get a look at some of the Husky faithful.
Holding up the #1 sign. One thing to keep in mind is that the students are still on break. They'll be back shortly, but the crowd not really much of a factor in the first half. And BC try to get him more involved, is he? Bit of a careless turnover by Chris Smith that time.
Sixth turnover for the Huskies, and Jim Calhoun making a point to his assistants, calling for the defensive pressure as we'll set the lineups for you. Number 10 is Howard Isley, guarded by Smith. This is Beasley. And Isley stepped on the sideline. So we've played 15 seconds, and we've had one turnover for each club. And Jim O'Brien can't like that ratio since he's down by 5 points, which is UConn's largest lead of the ball game. Huskies going from left to right, dressed in the blue and white. Here's Gwynn. Goes up high and banks it off the glass. Went right over Corey Jackson. So Gwynn now in double digits with 10.
Oh, what's handling by Isley to get out of trouble?
Had the magic feet that time. This is Abram. Down low, Abel. Turnaround hits Zippo, and Sellers and Burrell battle each other for the rebound, and Rod says, give it to me.
Now, BC needs a couple of stoppages here to get themselves back close in this game. The points have been difficult to come by in this game. Both teams playing tough defense, although Gwynn finds a way again.
Got the pick from Reed Thin Murray Williams. Here's Abram with the pretty shot to force the foul on Sellers. Oh, nice body control by the freshman.
Seemed to hang up there forever, didn't he?
Let's take a look at this right here, Ron.
Gerard Abram might have walked when he caught that ball looking the other way. Stutter move. Oh, the nice hang, though, and protects with the body.
Have to get the stopwatch out for hang time on that one. Foul was on Sellers, and for Sellers, that is his first, and that's a good sign for the Huskies, though with the 6 personals, get a little extra leeway. Gerard Abram, averaging 9.8 per game, was the Big East Rookie of the Week after he lit it up for 30 against Maryland in the ACC Big East Challenge. I think when they won against Memphis State and Maryland, Ron, that gave the Eagles plenty of confidence.
Well, that's right. They have a very young team, which we've pointed out, but to come out of the gates quickly and win a couple of very tough non-league games really gives a young team confidence, and you start to pick it up from there.
Here's Murray Williams to the glass. Yes, and it counts, and Williams will go to the line to try to complete the three-point play. Just too quick for Billy Curley on that occasion.
Now, Connecticut just pushes the basketball up so quickly, and BC just doesn't do a good job reacting defensively. With all those white jerseys trailing the play, Curley a little late getting there, and credit Connecticut and Williams for pushing it up, filling up the hole.
Huskies 10-point cushion, their largest of the game, as you look by Billy Curley, who was heavily recruited by Connecticut.
A great player out of Duxbury, Massachusetts.
As Murray Williams had 8 points in the Connecticut Mutual Final against Rhode Island, his season high, and he completes the old-time three-point play, and the Huskies with a double-digit advantage. Oh, Isley might have gotten away with a push on that one.
That's where you use Curley, though, in the middle. Oh, might have been a reach from behind. No call.
Here's Burrell.
Oh, my.
And Jimmy O'Brien wants to stop this right here. Eagles take a timeout with 18:41 left. UConn with a 13-point lead. More Big East basketball right after these messages.
Some cars.
BC to school early in the second half.
Well, they've come out really fired up in the second half. Defense, again, has been the story, finished off by great moves like that one by Burrell. Can he get up?
It's way up for a right-handed pitcher. Curley helping to break the press, and Burrell not agreeing with Bob Donato's call. His second foul. Really nobody in foul trouble thus far.
Now, that's the kind of player Burrell is. We're saying his name a lot tonight because he's always around the basketball, offensively and defensively.
Jim Calhoun must have given an outstanding pep talk at the halftime.
It's the kind of start that BC needed, trailing at the half by 5 points to come out in the second half. It's been the other way, though.
There's Isley looking for 3, front rims it. The Huskies doing a better job off the glass.
Oh, that one out off.
Well, Jim Burr's going to change his call. He knew he made a mistake. That was the accidental bang it off the guy and keep possession.
Ooh, right off of Corey Jackson's nose, though, I think. Usually it's off a leg. Boom, there it is. Right off the forehead.
Back in. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Couldn't get the arms up in time. Usually you don't see it that way. BC with some pressure.
That is Excedrin Headache, number 26, as the pass is knocked away. Knocked away by Abram. Malcolm Huckabee, number 12, and Bobby Moran, number 20, back in the ball game as you get a look at Abram.
Jim O'Brien has a pressing lineup in there. He's really got 4 backcourt guys, the 3 freshmen.
And the agile Curley.
And Bobby Moran is a good defensive player. He's got to look for some trapping and some pressure now.
Here's Smith. He's tripped.
There it is.
Huckabee steals. 3-on-2 Moran had a notion. Eagles would like to go from downtown with this unit as Burrell hits the dirt. Sellers grabs the rebound. Now suddenly, with this lineup, the Eagles will definitely have problems off the glass. Offensive call. Jim Calhoun doesn't like it. Murray Williams isn't sure himself. But Sean Corbin has the block. Let's look.
See if he waves it off. Oh, good job in there by Moran to set up. Good call, contact before Williams was able to release the ball. He can get the shot off before contact. You'll get the good hoop, and then the offensive after the made hoop. Not that time.
2 on Williams, 3 on the Huskies. And as we've played a little more than 2 minutes, and BC has only the Abram free throw to show for their offensive efforts.
BC having a tough time getting the open shots.
Nice fake by Huckabee. Can't get it to go, but Huckabee will go to the line for a couple as Murray Williams picks up another quickie, and that's 3 on the senior from Torrington. Nice up fake by Huckabee here. He had Williams going up like a puppet on a string.
Well, Connecticut's pressure defense just doesn't allow a lot of open jump shots. The last time down court was a good illustration for BC. They were able to get the steal, bring it down, what looked like they might get it to the goal, never developed. And Jim O'Brien's club passes it around the perimeter, but never turns up like the real high percentage shot that they need.
Huckabee a 71% free throw shooter. He hits 1 of 2. That's only 2 fouls on Williams.
Oh!
Nice pass by Chris Smith. Wow. That gets the Husky bench up on its feet.
Could be dunk of the week honors. He got way up that time, raising the right arm.
And the Huskies with a 14-point spread.
Burrell just really coming into his own, playing great basketball. So active.
Just goes out and plays. Doesn't care who it is, just goes out and plays the game. There's Huckabee from downtown, and Malcolm Huckabee with his 9th three-pointer of the season.
The thing I like about the 3 in college basketball, you can get down by 8, 10, 12, 15 points, knock a few of those 3s into the goal, get yourself back into the game.
The thing you like about the 3 is you would have made a lot of shots. Burrell from downtown. Boy, Scott Burrell just doing it all. He's got 15, and the Huskies lead it by 14.
He feels it, doesn't he? Give me the basketball. He's got the touch going.
Eagles with this lineup, basically a perimeter team here, as they'll look to the 3s. And Huckabee gets a pair. Malcolm Huckabee. He now has 9, and it's become a shooting gallery here in Chestnut Hill.
Well, as I've said a few times during the game, the BC freshman, a lot of poise.
Johnny Gwynn as we go back and forth, and the one thing BC can't do is trade baskets.
You can trade a couple of 3s for 2s, but BC really needs a couple of stops to get themselves back in this game.
Quick move by Williams to knock it away, and Moran hurdles him, but never touched him. No call. Never touched him. Inside, Williams, the trailer. Pretty pass work by John Gwynn.
Oh, Connecticut's putting on a clinic in this second half, executing at both ends of the floor.
It's ironic, Ron. It was last year on January 2nd as Williams knocks the ball out of bounds. Last year on January 2nd, the UConn got demolished at St. John's, 92-61. They were 0-2 in the league. A lot of people didn't know how they'd make out. Turns out they didn't do too bad as you look at Doug Abel.
It's a long season, and what you want to do is just keep building on the good, positive things that you want to do as a team and hope to peak at the right time. Connecticut certainly did that last year. I did the follow-up game, the opener at Gamble, where Connecticut came back to win.
Right, as Huckabee hits another 3.
He's on fire.
He now has 12. Lyman DePriest back in for Connecticut for Williams, while Beasley and Abel back in the ball game as Curley sits down. Huskies 8 for 8 from the floor. There's Sellers from in close. Oh, no, he jinxed it, but DePriest with the tip. Lyman's first bucket of the night, and UConn leads it by 14.
UConn doing a much better job getting back defensively. BC unable to get that quick pass down court.
Sellers wouldn't bite for the fake, and Jimmy O'Brien thought that maybe there was a little foul there, working on Bob Donato. Smith takes it all the way. Nice dish to Sellers. Can't get it to go, but DePriest tips it up, and Gwynn runs it down.
BC giving something up on the boards with the quicker lineup, but Beasley and Abel really not getting the job done that time on the offensive glass for Connecticut.
Howard Isley called for his 3rd foul. take a look at some of that action underneath.
It was furious. Chris Smith, oh, what a dish right there. Great recovery, though, defensively by Beasley to bother Sellers. Look at the Priest, little ping pong off the glass. Finally, BC unable to get the handle, and there's Gwynn. Hey, let's reload it and run the offense again, guys.
Sure, shoot the gun again. Toreno Walker in for Sellers. The Huskies work the inbound. Smith still does not have a field goal, but he's done a nice job running the attack. Pull up by Burrell, can't go, and Bob Donato says Walker came in from underneath. So for Toreno Walker, his second personal foul. Possession foul. It'll be Boston College ball. Huskies, though, Ron, sorry, have started to work the tempo up, and they're always better, I think, when they're able to get in the 94-foot game.
Well, I think they're doing a nice job of selecting when to push it in this half, and they're converting in the shooting percentages and really showing it.
Here's Beasley, who had the big first half, and Walker was called for the foul. BC's been able to take the ball baseline on UConn with great regularity whenever they've tried. Lately, they've just been trying for the perimeter when they had that smaller lineup in the ball.
Toreno Walker a half a step off that time. Got to get himself the minutes. And Jim Calhoun doing a nice job of weaving a lot of players in and out of this game, different combinations. And Jim O'Brien has really done the same. And I think this quicker lineup is helping BC right now, but they're having to make some tough adjustments off the boards.
Beasley, who played on the New England All-Star team, coached by Dick Kuchin, that toured Spain, and Jimmy O'Brien trying to encourage easy. Steve Peichel in for Chris Smith for the Huskies. Beasley, 80% free throw shooter.
Didn't get anything out of his legs on that one.
That time he maybe overcompensated too much, and Walker, like a bull, grabbed the rebound. Burrell's fade.
Connecticut really looking to push it right now.
That maybe not the best of shots.
That was a definite, oh no, Scott, if it went in, hey, good job. Now you can definitely say it went up kind of quickly.
It's like one of the Gwynn field goals in the first half. Good step by Abram. Beasley trapped. Backs Burrell in. There's Walker once again. Well, that's what they want out of Toreno Walker.
Swing pass to Gwynn is there.
And so was Walker, though, down the lane. And Toreno Walker with his third field goal of the season. Some of the UConn faithful like the Huskies with their 16-point cushion.
But Toreno Walker can be so effective getting it in high post. Looks thinner to me. Really moving with a lot of quickness. What a great finish he had the last year's season.
Yep, played very well against Syracuse and Georgetown in the Big East tournament as Billy Curley back in, replacing tri-captain Doug Abel.
If BC can get Curley involved offensively, get the ball down low to him, see if he can put a couple of baskets together inside, loosen things up for the perimeter game.
Malcolm Huckabee, after getting a rest, replacing Beasley as they go back to that four-guard offense. UConn over the limit. We're only 6.5 minutes in. That could set the stage for a very long second half. Howard Isley hit 11 straight free throws to clinch the win against Maryland. He's hit 3 in a row tonight. He's got 6 points.
Got a nice stroke from the floor. A lot of composure, as we talked about.
Leads the Eagle in assists with 4 per game, which is what you'd expect for your point guard.
He's taking good care of the ball. Under 3 turnovers a game, that's a pretty good ratio, 2-to-1.
Well, the Huskies trying to work against the pressure. The Priest helping out. Peichel setting the break.
Connecticut clearly against the pressure, wants to attack if there's a good opening.
Steve Peichel gets trapped in a corner, and they say that Isley stepped out of bounds as he pleads his case with Sean Corbin to no avail. So Burrell will inbound.
So BC will try to press on the side out of bounds here.
Clear it to Walker. Gwynn throws it away. Tried to hit Walker. Here's Isley. Nice reverse layup. Howard Isley now has 9. The Eagles are back within 12.
Oh, BC going for the steals, cashing in that time.
Burrell from downtown. Scott Burrell. 2 straight 3-pointers. He's got 18. He hit his career-high 23 against Fairfield, and you caught a glimpse of the UConn bench, which liked that action.
He's having a great game tonight.
He's had several great games lately. Huckabee, who's also been hot from downtown. That one hit the back rim, and Burrell gets the rebound, and Billy Curley just reached in that time. Not as quick as Burrell.
Not looking for Curley inside, and it's, 12:30 to go in the game, down by 15. Still a lot of time if you can get a couple of baskets inside as well as from the perimeter and settle down and play some defense. A lot of time left.
Smith and Sellers in, replacing Burrell and Gwynn. Burrell 4 of 5 this half for 10 points. And well, Abel in for Moran. Out of town, Georgetown putting it to the Tigers as Malcolm Huckabee takes it all the way. So Huckabee now with a career-high 14 points. 63 to 50.
Come to life in the second half, hasn't he?
He's seen a lot of playing time. The four freshmen have all seen a lot of playing time. Almost a steal by Abel. They still can't get it to go from the field. And here's that man Huckabee. I know this one's being
bad pass.
Oh, bad pass. Looked like a couple of the quarterbacks we saw in the bowl games yesterday. Get Lyman DePriest. Score the goal. That was goaltending. Lyman DePriest with a little fancy dribbling on the outside for his second field goal. We'll take a break. We need one. It's been a racehorse. Second half. 11:48 to go. UConn holding a 15-point lead. We'll have more Big East basketball right after these words from our local stations. Conti Forum and a couple of Nutmeg State High School products having good luck from downtown.
Well, the three is really becoming a factor. It wasn't in the first half, but Burrell has come to life with it. He's got a couple of threes here in the second half, playing a great all-around game. And Malcolm Huckabee off the bench for BC has nailed 3 of them from three-point land here in the second half as both teams go to the three-point shot.
Burrell from Hamden, Connecticut. Huckabee from Bristol. A lot Katz in for the Huskies, replacing Peichel as UConn goes zone. This is Abram.
There's Curley, give it to him. Burrell doing a good job, I should say Sellers with the front though.
There's Curley. Goes left. Good power move. Didn't get it to go, but that was a good big man move by Curley.
Yeah, it was. And Sellers, though, did a good job to make him 8 feet from the goal when he caught it.
Nice lead. Chris Smith may not be scoring, but he certainly has plenty of assists, and Lyman DePriest has 6 points.
That's very important for him to just stay with his game.
Huskies with their biggest lead of the ball game with 11 minutes to go.
It's like a 2-3 zone now by Connecticut. Seen a lot of different defenses once again by Connecticut.
BC, though, has the people to pull the trigger from long range. Abel, who started off red hot. Curley couldn't get the tip to go, and Curley knocked it out of bounds. UConn last year played pretty well on the road in the Big East, as they went 5-3 in the conference on the road last year. They're only 23 and 58 lifetime on the road, 7th best in the Big East. Want to guess who's the best?
In the Big East?
Yeah.
Georgetown?
Very good. As Katz throws it away. Want to guess who's the best at home in the Big East?
Best at home in the Big East?
Yeah. It's a pop
Syracuse.
Quiz. Nope. Georgetown. 69 and 12. Want to guess who has the best? No, never mind. I was going to say who's the best overall record, but I think you would have figured that one out.
Same team?
Huskies putting on the pressure. A couple of unbeaten teams at the Carrier Dome, where Syracuse has won 7 straight. Or 7 of the last 8, I should say, they've won against St. John's.
Billy Owens.
Billy Owens, Malik Sealy.
David Johnson playing so well for Jim Boeheim this year. Sealy's playing great basketball.
Yeah, Syracuse 8-0 at home this season, and St. John's 9-0 overall. Boeheim likes to stay in the western New York area to start the year off. Like to head on the road. There's Abel in the corner. Shot clock down to 22. We haven't even had to think about the shot clock tonight. Early down low. Nice out fake.
We both said that one at the same time.
Doesn't go as Curley bumps into Lyman DePriest. Get a look at the big man working down low.
Got a lot of the good tools, good hands, knows how to cut to the basketball. And that's just a good up fake that time as Sellers goes for it. It's the move Sellers likes to use on the other side of the lane.
Scott Burrell and Murray Williams back. Moreno Walker and Lyman DePriest grab a seat. Now we're going to look at the lefty from Duxbury, Billy Curley. At 21 against UMass, a career high in BC's loss in the finals. of the Hall of Fame class, 9th leading rebounder in the Big East, grabbing him at 7 rebounds per game.
Only attempted 4 field goal attempts so far in this ball game. Hasn't been open much. Beat Connecticut with some good denial inside. Could be close to a 5. How about that for an outlet over the head, all the way to midcourt?
Well, we've seen last year that Burrell can throw the long ball.
That's right.
Williams had the notion. Nice work on the perimeter. Oh, good pass by Smith. Huskies very patient working the ball, and Murray Williams now has 7 points.
Murray Williams with that little bounce in his step going right now.
He played well against Rhode Island in the Connecticut Mutual Finals. Huskies with a 17-point lead. Cats got there late. Nicely will try to complete the 3-point play.
That was a nice one. Was that Moran with the good feed inside? Had to be a good timing play because Isley can only camp in that 3-second lane for the 3 seconds, so he just gets it in there. There he is. He wants it. Good look. Able to draw the foul. Isley, chance for the 3-point play. Celebrates a little bit.
Yeah, he's entitled. He's a freshman. Galad Katz out and Johnny Gwynn in as Isley, who scored 24 in the win against Maryland, completes the old-fashioned 3-point play. He now has 12.
Corey Beasley with the towel on the head.
Looks like he's ready to go 15 rounds. Here's Smith, still looking for that first field goal.
Oh,
He's
what
got
a
it.
shot.
And with that shot, I should say, Chris Smith moves into 18th all-time on the UConn scoring list, past Jim Abramitis, as we get a look at Smith.
Chris Smith, it's vintage Chris Smith. He scores a lot of his points on slashing-type plays. And that time goes up over Bill Curley.
You played against Abramitis. That was during your time.
Yes.
Abramitis, Randy Levine. They told me they didn't like you very much.
I played against Tony Hansen, too.
Yep. It's because you scored against them. You had these great rivalries in those days, that UConn-Holy Cross rivalry.
Randy Levine, he was a terrific athlete. Played some baseball against Randy as well.
Yep. That's right, you played baseball at the Cross. I know you said you didn't want to really bring that up in comparison to a guy like Morrell, but it's okay. Smith completes the 3-point play, and you see Tim Peichel, another Bristol product, as the Huskies take a 17-point lead. 9.5 to go here at the Conti Forum. Jody Ambrosio, Ron Perry, happy to be bringing you Big East basketball as Bobby Moran casts off for his first bucket of the night.
It's right the way you want to attack pressure. Get it to the middle, penetrate. Nobody there. Moran sank the jumper.
There's Sellers with that strong move into the lane. We took a look at one of those at the half, and that's Sellers having it his way in the paint.
He's really developing some nice moves inside. It's clear defensively. You've got to make him go left.
On the baseline, there's another rebound by Burrell. He lets out with that Jimmy Connors-like yell. He grabs it off the glass.
Just went and got it.
Williams goes baseline on Huckabee.
BC really gambling now. There should be some backdoor opportunities.
Gwynn likes that baseline move. Oh, he goes way out. Johnny Gwynn kind of the half hook that time. He's got 16, and the Huskies with their biggest lead.
He's fun to watch.
19-point UConn lead.
They've done it systematically. It was a very trade baskets, tough defensive battle in the first half, but it's been all UConn executing at both ends of the floor here in the second half. Really converting offensively.
Beasley puts it in, but it will not count. Sean Corbin has the traveling violation. Corey Beasley's not sure about it. Plenty of action in the Big East tonight in Pittsburgh with a 19-10 lead over Villanova.
Pitt, a very strong team this year. Sean Miller back at the point.
Seton Hall, 6-0 at home this season with a 30-21 lead over PC. And the UConn women were winners tonight, 92-69, as they beat Boston College to continue their winning ways. There you look at the men's score.
Seton Hall is playing very well in the early going this year.
I think they're going to surprise a lot of people this year. They're a team that that can do some damage. They're certainly the United Nations version of a Big East team.
Well, Avent's coming up big this year for PJ Colissimo, and
DeHare, of
Terry
course,
DeHare is
plenty of experience last year.
Good basketball player. A lot of teams are blending some good young players in with players that have been around. A lot of freshmen like DeHare getting the experience. They're ready.
Smith couldn't get the pull-up. Pop to go, but Murray Williams goes strong to the glass. For Murray, the biggest scoring night of the season. He's got 9. And UConn's up by 21.
A lot of balance now for Connecticut with 1, 2, 3 players in double figures.
Huskies with the overplay defensively, and John Gwynn came from underneath his first foul, and that will force 2 shots for every shot the rest of the way. Watch down low.
Now it's Doug Abel, maybe a little push off there with DePriest. Win across, but BC has had a tough time consistently getting the ball down low, and the reason for that, Connecticut's pressure all over the perimeter makes it difficult to see those openings inside.
Abel, who came off the bench for the first 9 games, has started the last 3, a 65% marksman from the foul line. 15th in the conference in scoring is Gerard Abram, who's back in for Corey Beasley.
A much better BC team this year, though. The blend of young players that Jim O'Brien has, they will definitely pull off some Big East victories this year, in my opinion. In this game, Connecticut has just done a systematic job, though, on the defensive end.
John Gwynn, who committed the foul, compounding his infraction by stepping into the lane a little early. So Abel will try to go once again. 36-inch vertical leap for the senior from Calvert Hall in Baltimore. He goes 1 for 3 from the line. It will only show up as 1 for 2 in your morning papers.
Good strong rebound by Williams. Connecticut asserting itself off the boards as well as at all other phases of the game.
Eagles try to trap at midcourt, and Isley poked it away, but also poked Burrell. Foul on Howard is his 4th. And we'll take a break with 7:30 to go, and UConn leading by 20. We'll have more Big East basketball from the Conti Forum after these words from our local stations. Wayron to making it 6 straight over the Eagles. Last year, they picked off an 89-67 win in Stores, as you get a look at UConn's outstanding shooting. And as we've mentioned before, the final regular season game, UConn by 21 here. Some guy named Nadav at 18 to lead UConn that night.
Remember him well. What a year he put in.
Some of the people in Stores.
Captured the state.
Huskies go with Smith, Burrell, Gwynn, DePriest, and Williams. No real center here. Johnny Gwynn. I'll tell you, he'd be heck to play in a game of horse because he's got them all.
He just knows how to get the ball in the goal.
Huskies now 17 of 26 from the floor in the second half, and win all the Cupidoms in the Conti Forum shooting gallery.
Yeah, both teams shot around 40% in the first half. BC stayed at that level, but UConn has just taken it up a couple of notches. Look where this offense is starting with the Connecticut pressure. Way out by midcourt.
There's Isley, tries to go around Priest, and Lyman against his buddy from Detroit sends him hard to the floor. That was a foul that Howard Isley will remember.
That gave me a flashback seeing Lyman DePriest matched up against the BC point guard. Just all over Isley. Remember, what was it, a couple of years ago anyways.
88 NIT semis against Dana Barros.
Dana Barros. Second half, Dana had, I think he had over 20 in the first half. Jim Calhoun makes the adjustment at halftime, puts Lyman DePriest on it, and I think he held Barros to a basket or 2.
First half rebounding, Boston College, 24-14. The tide has turned here in the second half as Isley, 78% free throw shooter, misses his first.
Well, it's been turnovers. Connecticut forcing BC into turnovers. It's been a much more active Connecticut team off the glass. And it's been a Connecticut team that's just been very aggressive converting offensively.
Huskies will use the big men to help break the pressure because both Burrell and Williams are adept at the dribble. Gwynn with the no-look pass and DePriest with the no-look catch. So with 6:34 to go, we'll go the other way.
Clinic, though, in terms of getting the ball to the middle and taking it to the foul line. Everything went well there, except for the pass over to DePriest.
Yeah, Huskies haven't done very much wrong here in the second half. Here's Curley inside on Burrell. For Billy Curley, just his second bucket of the ball game.
I think it's only his 5th field goal attempt as well from the year. Just hasn't touched the ball a lot offensively.
And in the backcourt, Isley fouling Smith. At the Carrier Dome, Syracuse, ranked 3rd in the nation, is playing St. John's, ranked number 9, and the Redmen haven't had much luck against Syracuse.
Well, that's just a dandy shaping up.
Yeah, Orangemen have won 7 of the last 8 against Louis Carnesecca's squad.
Looks like the St. John's kind of tempo. Second half must be well into it now, in the 60s. Syracuse would prefer the track meet.
8 minutes left there at the Dome. There's DePriest as the Huskies are going to take some time off the clock. Good opportunity to work on some things if you're Jim Calhoun.
BC continuing to pressure.
There's Burrell. Fouled on the way up. As Huskies work on that backdoor play an awful lot during practice as they try to get somebody loose. And watch Burrell.
There it is.
Oh no, maybe he might have been in there in time.
Still doing some leaning though. BC with the all-out pressure now. They don't have much choice, down by 19. Is susceptible to those kinds of backdoor cuts against the pressure. And got the sophomore David Hinton into the game.
I'm surprised we didn't see him more in the first half.
Well, he had the surgery to repair a bone spur in his right ankle on October 27th, so he is still getting himself back into shape.
Huskies, not a very good free throw shooting team, are draining them all tonight. Burrell now 3 of 3. He's got 19 points.
All we had to do was point that out early, and now we see that stat go way up tonight.
The D'Ambrosio jinx in reverse. So there we go. As they finally miss Scott Burrell. 5:45 to go, and UConn up 20. Burrell tried to draw the charge, and they called the block, and Calhoun doesn't like the call, but with the Huskies up 20, I don't think he's got too much to complain about.
I thought that one would have been a good no call. If anything, you're going to call an offensive foul. I just didn't think there was enough contact there. Burrell did a great job of going with whatever contact there was.
You see, Jim Calhoun didn't have much luck against BC when he was at Northeastern, though he had some great teams there, but he's done a lot better at UConn. 6-2 during the regular season, lost to the Eagles in the first round of the Big East tournament his first year, and then won, as we mentioned, in that '88 NIT semifinal. And Huckabee now with a career-high 15. He misses. Almost knocked away by Isley that time, or by Abram. Nice outlet. Gwynn, yes, and it counts. And you probably heard the scream by Johnny Gwynn as he is hacked on the way up and will try to complete the three-point play.
Well, the thing about Connecticut in this second half is BC has shown the pressure, and Connecticut has said, we are going to attack pressure. Hinton overcommits that time to the wing, and John Gwynn, yeah, guess you could say he enjoyed that bucket.
So Gwynn can tie his career high, and he does. Gwynn now with 21. And Jim Calhoun looks at the scoreboard and sees he's up 22. You can see that as well.
Now, Connecticut really opened this game up to start the second half, and they have just not looked back. Great at both ends.
Good drive by Huckabee to Hinton from downtown, and David Hinton, his first three-point attempt of the season. Boy, that's not bad if you got a 6'11" guy who can drain it from out there.
Love the way he just stepped back, glanced down to make sure he was behind the line. Nailed it.
Those black sneakers, it looks like Kevin McHale with that move.
Well, Hinton can really shoot the ball from the perimeter. He's just got to get himself the minutes. We talked about Torino Walker coming off the injury, though. Hinton with a tougher road back, getting his foot and conditioning back in shape.
Corey Williams can't get it to go, and Abram goes to the glass. Eagles trying to run, but all 5 Huskies are back. Abram uses the pick. Isley with a force, but there's Abram. Gerard Abram pretty quiet tonight. He's got 5, and the Eagles are within 17. The Huskies break the pressure. There's Sellers with that move to the right. He's got 14, and UConn just having it their own way offensively most of the night.
Now, the key is that they have not laid back offensively. They've gone right at it. A lot of balance here in this game, and made it very difficult for BC to come back the way they're playing with the basketball offensively.
Bounce pass that time by Williams. Smith had a notion from 3. Most of his shots have been short tonight. Watch Isley go from behind. Oh, a pretty pass by Chris Smith. Burrell with 21, 2 away from his career high. And the Huskies ready to put up win number 9 on the season. Here's Curley.
Joe, BC looked fatigued that last time defensively. You know, UConn with this constant pressure. It looked like they had a lot of white jerseys standing around as Connecticut just passes it at will. There's Curley. They've really done a good job to bottle him up inside. Number 1, to deny him the basketball, and number 2, when he gets it, to really double down on him.
Scott Burrell with foul number 4.
Bill
But
Curley,
you can see, oh, go ahead, Ronnie.
I was going to say, he's taken some deep breaths, and we've talked about, I have to believe those are the after effects of the flu that he's been fighting.
But you can see that Curley knows how to play the post, the way he receives the pass, the way he spreads out down there, gets himself ready. I mean, he's a fundamentally sound ball player, no question about that. He's been taught very well.
No, that's right. He's got the hands ready for the basketball. He usually has good position inside.
Smith is tripped up by Curley. 4th foul on Billy. 5th. Ron, you're giving me hand signals here. You're either ordering something to eat or you're telling me how many fouls he's got.
4th or 5th, and I'm looking up at the big board here at Conti.
Big board has him for 5. You just get a look at Billy Curley. That's when you're holding on to the shorts like that. It's, if you're a little tired.
That's right. Well, we're going to see a lot of Bill Curley for what shapes up to be an outstanding career here at BC. Much heralded coming in.
Chris Smith, 5 of 5 from the line. Smith, last year, 635 points, only Tony Hansen in 77, and the Poughkeepsie Popper, Wesley Balasupnia in 67, have had better individual seasons than the Colby Cathedral star.
This is a positive sign, though, for UConn, where Chris Smith has a quiet offensive night. So many other people kicking into the act.
Huskies by 22, 3:30 to go. The dog likes it. We'll have more from BC right after these messages. Conclusion of this game during every game, televised by the Big East Conference Television Network. Ron and I will be selecting the Infinity Player of the Game. The selection part of Infinity's sponsorship of Big East basketball. And certainly several Huskies who have earned that honor tonight.
Well, the top ones that come to mind, certainly Scott Burrell, all over the floor, Mr. Everything with 21, and John Gwynn has contributed 21 off the bench as well.
Smith with a deflection. Bangs it off the head of Scott Boyages, broadcasting on the BC radio crew, but Scott had the quick hands.
Had the hands ready, dropped the pen, and was able to react very nicely. Well, in a night where we thought, hey, Chris Smith could take the game over, he's been quiet offensively. But look at the contributions by people like Burrell and Sellers and Gwynn.
Nice job fronting here, Smith. Oh, look at the speed. Abram couldn't control, but he burst out of the starting blocks there. BC may have some nights like this during the season due to the inexperience, but they're also going to have a lot of nights this year where they're going to catch people as Willie Foley replaces Billy Curley in the lineup.
One of the things that happens when you have a young team is you will have some swings.
Moreno Walker in for Murray Williams.
I thought Connecticut just didn't allow BC to do anything it wanted to do offensively tonight. There was some bursts by Abel and Beasley in the first half, but BC consistently couldn't get into its offense, and eventually Connecticut just tore up, BC's pressure defense in this second half.
Huskies working on the delay game.
4 corners.
Walker had a notion.
2-1-2, really a 2-1-2 set, just spreading the floor, taking some time off.
Smith with the force. Walker strong. Moreno Walker. He now has 4, and the Huskies have pushed it up to 24.
Now, Smitty needs to really pull up on some of these shots in the open space as opposed to in traffic.
Another bomb by Hinton. Burrell
should be a walk.
Way up for his 6th rebound of the night. Huskies can't control. Nice fake. Oh! Abram couldn't get it to go. Willie Foley, he tried to say, is fouled by Walker, as we will see wholesale substitutions by the Huskies.
Gerard Abram, though, with that.
Sort of pulled it up, pulled it down. His
triple pumper under the goal.
Cerulic, 55, Steve Michael, 21, and Galad Katz replaced Gwynn, Sellers, and Chris Smith. And a lot of Husky partisans here, Ron. Yes, that are left.
Yes. Well, we mentioned the crowd. As it turns out, a good showing here by the Connecticut faithful. BC unable to really involve its home crowd here at Conti.
6,654 the attendance. There's Willie Foley, averaging almost 4 points a game. It's 1 of 2. Huskies 3 points away from their Big East single game high, which was set in this very building last year. An adventurous dribble by Burrell.
Walker's had some good minutes, too. That's a positive sign for Connecticut.
There's been plenty of positive signs for the Huskies tonight. Cats between the double team, and Michael has to do his Elastic Man impersonation, and Bobby Moran. reaches in for the foul, his second. Huskies from here go home to the Civic Center. They're home away from home. On Saturday afternoon, they will take on Pittsburgh, while BC has a trip to Alumni Hall in Jamaica, Queens, to play the Redmen of St. John's, who are involved in quite a struggle. As you take a look at Sean Ellison, 6'8" out of Farmington High, as he replaces Scott Burrell. Big night for Burrell. He leaves with 21 points, 6 rebounds, 3 steals, a block. I believe he drove the bus over. And Burrell continues to play well.
He's an athlete.
Steve Peichel, 92% free throw shooter, just his second miss from the line this season. Let me take a look at Scott in between Gwynn on the left and Sellers on the right.
You mentioned a couple of the upcoming games as Peichel, an uncharacteristic miss of a pair on a night where Connecticut shoots the free throws so well. But all these games now, Joe, hit for UConn and St. John's for BC. We're talking tough games now every outing. Big East play.
There's 16 tough games each season in the Big East. Here's Katz. Almost dragged the pivot foot.
Tantalizing.
Danny Cerulik didn't play much in the second half, but UConn got into that running game, and that wasn't the type of game they needed Cerulik in. The soft shot. Here's Ellison. Didn't go, and they've got the Eagles, and congratulations to Connecticut's Scott Burrell, tonight's Infinity Player of the Game. As you check those numbers, pretty solid effort.
All over. We said his name a lot. He was taking offensive fouls. He was shooting the three-point shot. He had a couple of monster dunks. And now he gets a well-deserved rest on the bench, talking it over with Rod Sellers. Had a great game tonight. I think he really lifted the team, too. He got everyone going out there.
Oliver Macklin, sophomore out of Bridgeport, in for Steve Peichel. Here's Dan Cerulik, 7 of 10 from the line this season. He has 3 points tonight. He started 5 games this year. Jim Calhoun experimenting with that starting lineup. Seems to have found a 5, though, now that he is light. And the Huskies, who scored 95 here last year, have 94 and 16 of 20 from the line. They're going to want to bottle up their foul line performance here and save it for another night.
Right on the money.
Willie Foley with the industrious work inside. Sean Ellison called for the half. Under a minute remaining here as much of this crowd has gone on to other endeavors this evening.
Well, it was a strong game for much of the first half, and then the Connecticut run to open up the second half just really created the big advantage, and they haven't looked back.
Willie Foley, who had that big game in the Big East tournament a couple of years ago against Syracuse, where he had 10 points, his career high, had the stress fracture and sat out all of '89. Katz against the pressure. Katz for 3. Foley knocks it out of bounds. So with 45 seconds to go, that big run, Ronnie, to start the half, 9-1 for UConn in the opening 90 seconds was what really set the tempo here.
That's right. It made, what was it, a 5-point game into a 13-point advantage, and BC just couldn't really turn the tide after that. They tried to get into some pressure defenses, and Connecticut, to their credit, went on the attack, shot the ball extremely well.
Nice save by Walker.
Really like some of the young players, though. We've talked about them a lot for BC, and this is a team that will definitely come out on certain nights and bump off teams in the Big East play this year.
Danny Cerulik with 6. I want to thank our even statistician Ray Perry, the best at the facts and figures. No relation, is he? He denied
No
that.
relation, but
he denied that before.
Turns in another strong effort.
Explicitly. 12 seconds to go. Huskies with 96. Here's Ellison. Dan Cerulik with the left hand from underneath. There's Katz with the drive. It will not count. But the Huskies with a solid effort as the coaches shake hands. UConn unbeaten in the Big East, 96-70, and we will wrap this one up from the Conti Forum right after these messages.
I don't know.
Connecticut pressure taking its toll on BC. In the second half, Connecticut came out firing, get into the double-figure lead, executed on offense, and got a great balanced attack led by Burrell and Gwynn tonight, and a very strong team effort for the Huskies.
The fact that UConn could score 96 points and only get 8 from Chris Smith, certainly a sign Coach Jim Calhoun has to like.
Absolutely.
The executive producer of Big East Conference basketball is Tom McElroy. The coordinating producer is Terry Schindler. Tonight's game has been produced by Paul Carlson and directed by Jim Edmonds, and thanks a lot to the rest of our production crew which made this broadcast possible. Along with Ron Perry, this is Joe D'Ambrosio. Once again, the final score, UConn 96, Boston College 70. The proceeding's been a Big East Conference Television Network production.